Hi friends. So believe it or not, your eyes are an extension of your brain. So things that will help your brain, which is part of your nervous system, will also help your eyes. So number one, eat foods to help your memory. And lots of foods have been shown to improve memory and cognition, like dark leafy green vegetables, as well as those bright shades of red and orange like bell peppers and carrots. Those colors are made by natural nutrients such as lutein and zeaxanthin that not only protect your memory, but they are literally used in the tissue that lines the back of your eyes called the retina. A healthy retina allows you to see. So people with higher levels of lutein and zeaxanthin simply remain sharper and smarter in their old age. And those with higher levels in their blood have lower dementia risks. Have you heard of macular degeneration? Your macula is a part of your retina that allows you to focus. So those who lose their macula have progressive blindness. And guess what? They're actually also losing their lutein and zeaxanthin in the retina. And these are essential nutrients even though it's not formally recognized. Neither your body nor any animal can make these nutrients. Only plants and microbes have the ability to make these special nutrients called carotenoids. And this is why it is essential that you eat colorful, all natural, fresh produce every day. Macular degeneration occurs mostly in Caucasians and is lowest in Asian nations. And really no one knows why or how much it's related to eating processed foods and not fresh foods. Notice how your milk carton suddenly began to advertise its omega-3 content? Now we know seafood is full of omega-3 fatty acids that are critical for the development of the eye, brain, and nervous system. The vision of premature infants are especially sensitive to nutrient levels, and the benefit of having adequate levels can appear several years later for improved academic performance. The health benefits of fish have also been embraced by Northern Europeans for centuries, and during winter, moms fed their children cod liver oil to protect them from colds. Cod liver oil contains more than just omega-3s. It is a source of two other essential nutrients, including vitamin D, important for immunity, growth, and development, and vitamin A, a carotenoid, important in vision, immunity, growth, and development too. Is it not surprising that Switzerland is consistently among the top 10 countries for longevity? Now, I mentioned vitamin A, which has been shown to be deficient in patients with a condition called Xerophthalmia. It's an immune condition that causes dry eyes, and it's really the leading cause of blindness around the world and affects millions of children. People who have upper gastrointestinal surgery, like gastric bypass, inflammatory bowel disease, pancreatitis, or alcoholics are all at risk of vitamin A deficiency. Initially, you get dry eyes, but eventually you have corneal ulcers. You can have weakness of your cornea and scarring that leads to cataract. And if you're vitamin A deficient, you will notice your night vision to be suffering. And you may also notice dry appearing patches on the side of your iris. You should see a medical doctor ASAP and get your vitamin A levels measured. Vitamin D is also an essential nutrient that technically your body can make if you're light-skinned, young, don't use sunblock, and spend a lot of time in the sun. That's not my life, and I, like most people, have to supplement. More and more studies have linked inadequate vitamin D to a whole host of diseases that go way beyond your bones. Low levels are associated with worse outcomes with infections and lots of vision problems, including myopia, which I personally have. Now, supposedly, myopia is an inherited genetic condition. A lot of Asians have, but my dad didn't have it, and my mom had a really mild form. They both grew up outdoors, and going to school was not an opportunity they had as children. I grew up in America, and although I had no smartphone or tablets or computers, I spent most of my time indoors reading or watching TV or staring at the chalkboard. And the first time I had my vitamin D level checked, I was a young adult, and it was in single digits. Very, very bad. My dad had undetectable levels, and he was in his 80s, and that was the first time anyone measured vitamin D in him. Ultimately, he died of complications of a spinal fracture because of that low vitamin D level. As a kid, my mom tried to get me off the couch and go outside, but I didn't want to. So if your kid's not spending time outdoors, if you're not spending time outdoors, you're gonna be vitamin D deficient unless you're supplementing. And it's really important not to randomly supplement. You really need to know your levels. And these days, you really don't even need a doctor or a prescription to check your vitamin D levels. Your contacts inhibit oxygen to your eyeball, and it's already locally immunocompromised. Because of that, it can't repair as well. And so if you get germs on your contacts, then that will build up under your lenses. And no matter how good you're cleaning them, your lens has no blood supply, so it's going to be hard to get that off. If you're cleaning your contacts with tap water, with dish soap, or your spit, it's just a matter of time until you infect your eye. Your tap water can have a parasite called acanthamoeba that can locally invade your eye. Make sure you don't sleep in them or swim in them, and please don't share them. Please clean them with legit store-bought contact lens solutions and not with your spit or some homemade solutions. Your saliva is filthy even after you brush your teeth. If you feel eye pain, if you have redness, if you feel sand in your eye, that's not okay. You need to stop using those contacts and go see an ophthalmologist right away. Do you wear sunglasses and a wide brim hat to protect your eyes from getting cataract from UV light? Cataracts isn't just an old person condition, as Mr. Beast showed in this touching video on how he gifted 1,000 people with cataract surgery because blindness can take away the quality of life. Mr. Beast, if you're watching, I think you have a heart of gold. And I don't mind at all that my son follows you. Now, I just don't want to prevent cataracts. There is so much more that can be wrong with the eye. So my goal is to boost my vision, which is more than just wearing sunglasses, which my mom kept telling me as a kid. And I'm not telling you anything my mom didn't already know. No, she wasn't an ophthalmologist or even a doctor. Turns out she, like millions of other moms, are usually ahead of the science. And our modern scientific literature is just beginning to catch up with ancient wisdom. And if you haven't already figured it out, you are living in a giant food experiment. So am I. So I've chosen to remove myself from this giant experiment, join people who have eaten, like for eons, a certain way, and reduce the chemicalized processed foods, including chemicalized plant derivatives. Now, am I perfect? No, but I'm trying my very best. Now, I didn't always think like this, and as a kid, I found my opinions to be in conflict with my mom, and she probably found me very annoying, but she still persistently encouraged me to eat green leafy vegetables and carrots because they were good for my eyes. But it's really interesting to note that the life expectancy of a person from Macau, Hong Kong, and Japan today is between 85 to 87 years of age and living at home and not living in a nursing home. Whereas in America, we're so focused on proving the science and having fancy, expensive clinical trials with pharmaceutical drugs that the average person spends the last decade of their life sick and barely makes it to 76. And yet people are shocked that our life expectancy continues to go down. In my opinion, there's nothing to be shocked about. People around the world have figured out how to live and how to live long for eons, and it's not just to support your heart. But as a child, I didn't understand this. I just thought everything is solved with a pill. But as an adult, turning a blind eye on what has already been proven by living people and believing that processed chemicalized foods will carry you throughout life, well, good luck to you. I doubt you will live long enough for science to prove that it works. It's akin to trying to reinvent the wheel. You know what for? The round shape seems to work pretty well. Arguably, America has access to an abundant amount of food, the best technology in science, and cutting-edge medicines. So why are we getting more unhealthy? Well, it's frankly because you don't achieve health through healthcare, and healthcare is meant to be a bridge to sick care for really acute care. For millions of people, they've learned this the hard way, that our medicines and machines may help you at the time, but they don't help you live your life. And if you're waiting for proof that your processed, all-natural, plant-derived chemical, like sugars and preservatives, or synthetic chemicals like sugar substitutes are safe, well, just know that the science is always behind the times. And even though currently the EPA and FDA think they are safe, they often change their minds. My parents, they didn't actually trust the healthcare system and knew that food would keep them healthy. And it turns out, like the rest of the world, they were right. If you want to be healthy, you got to eat well. Now, if you think about it, our modern pharmaceutical industry, it didn't happen until the 20th century. And the first drugs came from herbs, plants, roots, vines, and fungi. In fact, the first blockbuster drug, aspirin, was isolated from the bark of a willow tree. But the key ingredient, salicylic acid, is found in many plants and has been used by cultures around the world for thousands of years. They simply just drank teas and ate the whole plant to prevent and treat diseases. My mom was also a big seafood fan and believed the more seafood she fed her kids, the smarter we would be. So almost every day we ate some kind of fish, shrimp, crab, lobster, squid, etc. because that's how she grew up. And her grandmother taught her to get smarter by eating seafood. How did she know this? My mom is from the silent generation, and she was discouraged from going to school. Her grandmother would have lived in the 19th century, and I doubt my great-grandmother could read or write or even own a pen or paper. And yet she was wise beyond her years, and modern science is inching its way forward to make connections people have made centuries ago. To be perfectly honest, despite growing up enjoying seafood, I quit eating it. We have thrown so much garbage in the ocean that my grandmother's and mom's seafood, or even my seafood that I ate as a kid, is no longer the same. Heavy metals and forever plastics have contaminated our oceans and polluted our food supply. And if you eat that contaminated food, it's going to affect your nervous system, immunity, and health, and maybe not for the better. Of course, not all seafood is equal. Some have higher concentrations of toxins than others. Now, we heavily emphasize heavy metal concentrations because we have ways to measure that marker. And when you are told to limit consumption to 2 servings a week, you should be suspicious. If you are vegetarian, plants have an omega-3 called alpha-linolenic acid that are found abundantly in chia seeds, Brussels sprouts, hemp seeds, walnuts, flax seeds, and perilla seeds. I personally just supplement with omega-3 EPAs to reach a level of at least 1,000 milligrams a day and DHA of at least 500 milligrams. And I'm an advocate of checking your omega-3 levels to know if you're on target. Now, my mom also hounded me on sleeping, which I resisted in my teenage years. It turns out she was right again. Melatonin is a normal hormone you make, which has anti-inflammatory, immune-supporting properties that's critical to your vision, your brain, and your health. But you only make it after dark and when you're sleeping. And there are actually receptors throughout your eye for melatonin. And your brain makes more melatonin after dark and peaks when you sleep. So if you keep on those bright light, especially those bright blue lights from your phone, tablet, computers, you're inhibiting its production. I don't recommend taking melatonin as a sleep supplement, but instead making an environment that helps you naturally make melatonin by dimming your lights and turning off your devices early. During the daytime, if you're doing anything that can potentially shoot something in your eye, you should be wearing protective eye gear. Kids or adults should not be playing with Nerf guns unless they're wearing eye protection. I have seen those kind of accidents. And if you're gardening as a hobby or a gardener as a living, put some eyeglasses on, or better yet, goggles, or wear a shield to cover your face. You don't want plant material to get stuck in your eyeball. I've had to dig them out. It's no fun. It puts you at risk of bad bacteria and fungal infections. Don't forget to wash your hands and stop rubbing your eyes. Your eyes are a direct portal to your nervous system and are directly connected to your respiratory system by a duct called the lacrimal duct. This drains to your nose, and that's a great way to give yourself a respiratory infection like RSV, influenza, and adenovirus, which can all increase a child's risk for asthma. If you want to learn more about building your nervous system, check out the next video.